Hello, everybody. We are here today in the first episode of the Bowhunters Journal with Nick, and Nick shot a giant buck he called the Traveler. This buck wasn't just like your run of the day buck that's on your farm, you get pictures of him all the time. He moved around. And we're going to hear the story about how Nick got this buck in front of him early October, and we're going to get into that here in just 1 second. But first, Nick, tell us a little bit about yourself, just real brief.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And I want to preface this too with it's a giant buck for me. Um, and he was an even bigger part of my last 5 or 6 years hunting that property. He's not going to be breaking any records, that's for sure, but definitely a very important deer to me. But I'll back up a little bit. I hunt in Ohio predominantly, but my buddies and I, we travel all over the Midwest to hunt deer. And I was really bit by the archery bug when I was about
Right.
14 and got into it about back then and just kind of been learning every year. And the last few years, finally starting to kind of figure out how to get in front of these mature deer. And I'm also learning the patience to pass the little ones, the 3-year-olds and the 2-year-olds.
It's the hardest
Um,
thing ever.
Oh man, it's so hard when they're charging in, and they're all pumped up and they look big.
Oh, yeah.
So that's really the patience aspect of this is really something that is challenging. But yeah, so I'm a cop. I work here in Central Ohio, and the reason I'm telling you that is because it's shift work, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to be a cop. My
Right.
schedule is really great for hunting, and I work 12s, so you get more of your work hours in during one day, and then you have a bunch of
Right.
days off.
Okay.
That kind of played a factor into choosing my
Yeah.
career path, honestly, and I've always kind of been a psycho about hunting like that. So,
Well,
but yeah,
you
that's
know
me
you're
in
a
a nutshell.
whitetail guy when you're choosing your job based off of how much time can I get to hunt.
Yes.
Because I do the same thing. I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, but this job doesn't give me like the time I want to hunt as much. Like, but this job gives me, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, and like I could maybe even get Thursdays off early enough to get out in the stand. So it's like, yeah, it's,
Yep. You take 1 or 2 days off and you get a week off. That's,
yeah,
I mean, it's really awesome for being a whitetail hunter for sure.
right, right, yeah. Because right now I work like a 4 day schedule, so I actually work overnights too, so I can actually hunt like a lot. But
Yeah.
like, at the same time too, like you don't get certain days where you can hunt because your schedule is so long. So it's like that cold front hits and you can't
You're
have that
stuck.
day off. It's just like you're sitting there watching out the window, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Exactly. Yep.
but cool. So tell us how this story started with Traveler. Like, when did you first see him? You said you've been keeping an eye on him for a few years.
Yep.
When did you first see him and where was he?
So there's a farm that we help manage in Southern Ohio, and I say we, my dad and I.
Okay.
It's about 400 acres, and it's in hill country. We have no ag on the farm, but we're surrounded by ag. It's big timber, lots of oaks, um, and we have some food plots in there. So that kind of just set the stage for what we're working with here.
What do you have
There's
planted? Sorry, what do you have planted in your plots?
This year, we actually switched it up this year, and we put some black oats in,
Okay.
which is kind of a newer variety, I guess. The guy that helps me make the mixes for our food plots really strongly suggested it.
Okay.
So we're mixing the black oats with like a variety blend of clover, and the black oats are really fast growing.
Yep.
They're really hardy, and even in the drought that we had that many people experienced here when they planted their plots in early August, the black oats shot up still and gave a lot of
Okay.
cover and protection for the clovers.
Right on.
Um, and it's really worked out great. They're mowing it. I mean, it looks like it's been mowed by a lawnmower, and the
Okay.
clovers are really starting to sprout up underneath. So it's working out
Right.
nice.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
and we
good.
also do some brassicas.
Okay.
Um, our smaller our smaller annual plots, like our kill plots, we do in brassicas. So
Okay.
it's a good mix. Yeah.
Right on. See,
Yep.
I've heard of the black oats before. So I used to do some conservation work. I work at the
Okay.
conservation districts and stuff. I don't I don't think I've ever heard of anyone planting it. So it's kind of cool to hear that. So I'll have to give
It's
that a
hardy.
try.
Well,
Because
I'd say in the first 2 weeks, it was probably 5 or 6 inches tall, and that was with one rain.
right. And
So
see, that was the
it
thing. Like they were starting to kind of want to use that a little more because it was hardier and it was easier to
hmm
get started. So,
Yep,
but knowing that the deer also like it, it's like that's kind of a win-win.
they're
So,
crushing it. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's one of those little side notes people should be writing down right now.
Oh yeah,
So, I'm
yep.
sorry. So, keep going on with your story there. I kind of
So
got a
yeah,
sidetracked.
so basically there's two parcels. One, the main farm is, right around 300 something acres, and there's a separate parcel that's 92 acres. And this is kind of how his name started to develop. I remember one day, I believe it was 2020. I was hanging and hunting on the 92-acre parcel in the morning. Saw him chasing a doe at like 60, 70 yards. He was a 2 or 3 year old. Couldn't tell you either way, but
Right,
I had some footage of him and everything. And then we ended up getting pictures of him in the evening, a little over a mile away at the other parcel. Still on does, but just kind of two random places for him to end up, and everything in
right.
between. There was multiple farms in between. There's roads he crossed, and he did all that in one during daylight. So um, that kind of sparked the name Traveler. And then, I noticed over time he's very distinct. He has just kind of I wouldn't call it like a beautiful rack.
Yeah,
One side is flatter than the other and very distinct shape. So we always knew when we saw him.
right.
And definitely, you could see him in velvet even clearly. That's Traveler. The main road that connects the two properties is just lined with ag. And I remember the following summer glassing down there and just seeing him every evening. It would be a different field. He'd be, by himself
Right.
or he'd be with a group of does. He was just kind of all over. So that's how he
Okay.
got the name. Yeah. And he really stuck to it. I mean, even into his later years. I feel like he was probably 6, maybe when we killed him. But he was on all these different cameras all the time. I mean, he was working scrapes, he was daylight,
Right.
um, but still, I was having a hard time seeing him. So,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, if he's never consistent, it's hard to get in front of him. So,
exactly.
how were you hunting him then? Like when you saw him on the cameras popping up in spots, like were you just like trying to go to those spots when you saw him there? Or did he have some type of pattern that you started to see, or how did that
So I
work out?
really I started to narrow it down last year. I kind of, and I think he was narrowing too. I think his as they get older, his home range is shrinking, so
Right.
it was a little bit easier to kind of track where he's at. So I was able to draw like maybe a box of 150 acres around an area where I just flooded it with cameras, regulars cameras and cell cameras. And um, I just kind of tracked them that way. And I ended
Right.
up tagging out last year in like late October and went down and checked afterwards all these regular cameras I put out. And I saw a distinct pattern last year.
Okay.
Really had him. I felt like I was in his wheelhouse. So if I would have hunted him a little bit harder,
Right.
I could have probably killed him.
So
I
what
just had an
was
opportunity at a different property that I was focused on. So
right?
yeah.
What was that pattern that you saw? Like
So
yeah,
this
what was
property
it
is
called?
phenomenal with oaks. I mean, it's just covered in oaks and finger ridges that run off the main spine of the ridge. It's big, big timber,
Right.
big hill country hunting. So really, when I say a pattern, there's no pattern. I just had an area that he was in.
Okay.
And when I was trying him, I was trying to catch him, coming off of a bedding ridge, going to the main spine of the ridge to go wherever he wants to go.
Right.
And it was one of those things where I'd hunt one spot where, there's a hot scrape that he'd hit, that morning, and I'd go sit it, thinking maybe he'd come back through, and he'd show up somewhere else. So it was just
Okay.
constant cat and mouse, while I was hunting him last year. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So as you were going through last year, I mean, obviously you were in one spot, he was in a different spot every time. Um, as the season went through, did you have any sightings with him? Like you got any encounters where you're like, hey man, I saw him? but he's
Nope.
nope, not once.
I could
Oh,
not.
so
I could not catch up with him.
having to persevere through all of that to just stay on him, like that's a grind, man. That takes a toll on a guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and but I knew, when you're dealing with a deer that's 5 or more years old, that you're gonna hunt. If you want to commit to him, you're gonna hunt him, and you're not gonna see him, 99% of the time.
Right,
And again, I got a little distracted on a different farm that was a little bit closer to home, and ended up killing a really good buck there. Um, so I was happy, obviously, with that.
right,
But he's always been in the back of my mind, just because I know him so well, and maybe he knows me
right,
because he was avoiding me like the plague. So, you know,
right.
um,
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe he just like knew where you were coming from.
Yeah.
But
Something I think people could really draw from what I learned just through my cameras, and I'm sure most people know this, but um, he put himself in the ultimate position of advantage when he was betting, and he was very active, but he was also careful.
right,
You could see, I could just tell just by the way that he showed up certain cameras at certain times. Okay, well, he was on the very point of this ridge. He had to have been all day, and so he was very
right,
smart, and calculated, but he still was showing off all the time, which was just kind of a slap in the face to me. So,
right,
you know.
right. He was just letting you know he was there. And you're like, yeah, you
Hmm.
can't catch this. He's got
Right. Yeah.
kind of
Exactly.
like the hot chick at the bar, where she's just like showing off, letting everyone know that she's there, but she just won't choose anyone, and everyone's just like, oh man,
Yep.
like I
Yeah. And
wish
I'm
just
last in
once.
line. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you have any worries about like outside hunting pressure getting to him as well? Like,
That was kind of the benefit of where we're at. Um, the neighbors, our neighboring properties, there is a lot of gun hunting pressure. So,
okay,
I had some concerns there. But where we're at, we manage the farm. We all communicate. There's like a handful of us that hunt it, but we
yeah,
all communicate on access, and we're all kind of on the same page with, we're not just going in regardless of the wind, where we're taking the extra steps to be careful. There's certain areas of the farm
right,
that we just give up, that we are sanctuaries.
yep,
And I actually think that the one sanctuary was predominantly where he was living, which
okay,
makes sense because we never set foot in there. We just leave it. And we didn't
right,
do timber stand improvement in there. We just let it grow up, and it's a mess, and you can't even hunt it if you wanted to. So
right.
I think that really was a key to hold him, um, keep him from going next door and getting shot by a gun hunter or whatever. Plus, we had food, water, everything else he needed. So
As last year rounded out and like this year started, it's think of like winter, springtime, like you're still getting pictures of them, I'm guessing. Do you go look for sheds at all? Did you find his sheds by
I
chance?
looked everywhere, and I have looked everywhere for his sheds multiple years, and I have not been able to find his sheds ever.
Okay,
So, we held him. I actually have pictures of him, in the same plot where I shot him in February, holding,
okay,
and then within a couple pictures later, the next morning he shed. So
right,
my guess is he was dipping onto the neighbors in late
right,
season for one reason or another. I don't know why, but he probably
right.
shed on the neighbors where I couldn't go.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that
I mean,
makes
I had
sense.
pictures of him from velvet last year all the way through, to shedding,
Right,
and like I said, that last food plot where I ended up shooting him this year was where he was shed, and clearly it was him. He's
right,
distinct. So
right.
yeah.
Well, he shed in February, and then you saw him again in Velvet this year, correct?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when did you first see him again in Velvet?
It was in July, late July.
Late July.
Um, At least that's what from what I could tell. He could have been in there earlier, but yeah,
Okay.
when he was pretty much, you could see all of his frame and the general growth of his rack. Late July, early August. I could
Right.
tell it was him. Yeah, and one of the best velvet pictures I had of him was right after we tilled and planted that food plot there. And he was within a couple of days, he was in there, probably curious, checking it out. But yeah,
Right.
beautiful broadside shot of him. Yeah, and it was
Nice.
clearly Traveler, which was really cool.
Okay.
So,
So walk us through how this year went from seeing him in velvet to putting in the plots, which obviously probably took some thought as to what you wanted where, that. So go through some of that and then all the leading all the way up until season. Like what was the plan of attack?
So my strategy with the plots there, there's a number of plots that we put in that are predominantly just for the deer. Like we're not going to hunt them just because
Okay,
you can't. Some bottoms in hill country, you're just never going to get a wind for it, and
I get
it
you.
does more harm than good. But if
Right.
you're adding nutrients to the area in addition to all the oaks that are around you, and the ag fields will eventually get cut, so you're wanting to draw them, so we have a very large food plot right in the middle of the property. It's in a bottom and it grows like mad. It's awesome.
Okay.
We can't hunt it, so it's a great place to draw the deer into the center of the property and keep them there. And then
Right.
we imagine where they were going to go away from there, um, and put in kill plots around it. So
Okay.
um, it's important. Like I in this spot because it's such a big contiguous piece of property. Access is a challenge
Okay.
without bumping deer and everything. So
Yeah, that
the
would make
plot
sense.
that I actually killed Traveler in is on the very edge of the property. Not too far from the road. Um, and the reason that I went there was because I didn't want to dive in 80-degree weather and go hunt one of the inner plots,
Right.
and
Right.
ended up crossing paths with them.
The day of October 3rd comes. Walk us through like what was the win that day? Like where were you gonna sit? What like in conjunction to the plot and all that. Just kind of really describe all of that, and then let's talk about like his walkout and you shooting him. Because what the
This
best part?
this is actually really cool. The I had a south wind, as many people know in the beginning of this archery season. It was warm and we had a lot of south winds.
Right.
I mean, it was 80 degrees when I walked in. Um, so, we have a tractor path that accesses this. The food plot's actually like a cleared pumper well site that
Okay.
we planted half of, and it's built into a hillside. So halfway down this big ridge that dives down to the road, and so you get thermal pull there big time,
Okay.
and
And how
and the
big was the
winds.
plot? How big was the
It's
plot?
about a quarter acre,
Okay, so not
quarter
very
acre
big, just
plot,
a
not
small
very big.
quarter acre. Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
Yep, quarter acre plot. And just from the cameras, the deer were crushing it. But I hadn't seen Traveler in there probably in a week or so, at
Okay.
least not on camera.
Was this the black oats plot?
Yes,
Okay,
black
perfect.
oats and clover.
Okay,
Um, so yeah, I mean, my goal was just to shoot a doe. And I knew that, there was always a chance that Traveler or one of our other shooters could show up in there because they've been on there.
right.
But with the
And he's
weather, anybody
yeah,
knows you go in 80-degree weather on a south wind and you're like, yeah, I might not even see a deer, period.
right. And he's
Um,
so sporadic everywhere, like you never know where he's up. So,
you just never know. So I had pictures of him um, 2 mornings prior, about 700 yards away, and in
okay,
one of our kill plots, and that was in the back of my mind. I wanted to go into that area
right,
because I was like, maybe he's staging over there somewhere for whatever reason. But I decided just to stay out, just kind of hunt safe. And
right.
so the plot is it's a rectangle plot, pretty standard. Um, it runs down the ridge. There's a significant slope in the plot, and I
Okay,
wanted to get on the low side of it because of my thermals and the wind. So the low side would have been the downwind side.
okay.
And I actually went in with my saddle and did a hanging hunt out of like an old walnut or something. I've never hunted him before, which
Nice.
was really cool. Um,
Do you do a lot of hanging hunting then? Is that pretty natural for you?
Almost entirely.
Okay.
I do that.
So you're
Um,
able to get really quick and like
yeah.
it's okay.
What I like about the saddle is, I mean, obviously the weight carrying it in or whatever. This was a short walk. I could have carried a tree stand in there. And
Right.
we have a ladder stand on this plot, but I don't like it. It's set up for some of the older guys, with the crossbows.
Okay, I get
So
you.
the saddle, I mean, I was probably 50 or 60 yards from ladder stand. But it's so quick and easy to pick a setup that works for you that, you know, you can make those little adjustments.
Right.
And honestly, I wouldn't have killed him out of the other tree stand.
Okay.
So, so anyway, yeah, I'm walking in, I'm checking my wind, barely any
Yep.
wind. I'm dropping milkweed and it's going straight up into the sky, which
Perfect.
is okay. Um, so I get back in there. I'm at the base of my tree that I picked, and I hear between me and the road, that dead downwind of me, I hear a deer get up and take off, and it sounded like a hippopotamus. It sounded huge.
Right.
Um, but it never blew, and it only hopped twice. You know, two big crashes, and then it was silent. So
Right.
in the back of my mind, thinking, okay, deer by itself. Looking at it was on a little finger ridge,
Right.
secluded um, between the food plot and the road. You know, he had the wind advantage. He probably was bedded looking down at the road with the wind at his back. You know, he was
Yep.
in a big buck bed, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So,
And he didn't snort at you. Like, and if you hear him, like that's generally a doe or a young buck. Like, I
right.
I've never seen a mature buck unless they were like really startled by something. Like, and there's a lot of other deer. I've never heard one snort wheeze at or snort at
Nope.
anybody from catching their wind. They're just like, nope, not today.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was hoping that I didn't bump him hard. You know, there was no way he would have seen me where he was.
Right.
But I do believe that he heard me because it was dry and crunchy, and I had to walk through a little bit of stuff to get to the base of the tree. So I was kind of kicking myself, but I had already, given up that part of the 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 timber because of my wind. I knew that that was a risk I was taking, that I was going to be potentially letting my wind travel down to the road. But you're always giving up something, right?
Yep.
So, but yeah, in hindsight, and I'll get to it later, but it was really cool where he was laying. But yeah, so I get up in the tree, I'm settling in, I start to feel the air cool, dropping milkweed, and it's sucking down into the ravine behind me and then turning. So it would have been like turning to the northeast, which was away from that bed, which was good. I was encouraged with that a little bit. In
Yeah.
my mind, I'm like, well, maybe, if it's a soft bump, maybe
Right.
he just heard something and he'll come back in. Um, and I kept hearing footsteps, over in that direction. Um, Probably for an hour, I was hearing them, and I didn't know it. You hear
Right.
squirrels and all kinds of stuff, and
Yeah.
well, we're bad about it, but we assume that they're squirrels.
Right. Or
Um,
even just it's a buck, even if you know it's a deer and like you just heard him like, 5 minutes ago, then you hear something again, you never think it's the same deer, but they will sit there for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and all of a sudden a deer pops out and you're like, wait, that was a deer?
right. I'm telling you, like in hindsight, looking at how this all unfolded, I learned so much from how he behaved and how he handled the whole situation, and
Right.
where he was bedded and all that. It was really cool. I mean, he's taught me a lot over the years in general, just trying to chase him. But
Right.
seeing how he was set up in there, I mean, he had me. He had the wind, and he was in a complete position of advantage. It was
Right.
really cool. But anyway, so yeah, I'm hearing two or three steps and then nothing for 5, 10 minutes, and what I realized was he was feeding on acorns up on this big shady ridge. And,
Okay.
just like you see a big buck do when they get up out of their bed, he was going nowhere fast, you know.
Hmm.
But he had everything he wanted right there. It was the cedar ridge, real shady and cool in there. He had one big massive oak that was dropping a ton of acorns. And he was just feeding, taking a few steps at a time, probably trying to see or look my direction to see what
Right.
startled him, maybe. I don't know. Or he completely forgot. I'm not sure. But eventually he started getting closer, and I was starting to see his body through the thicket, stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, this is not a doe.
Right.
So
Was that a white oak or a red oak? Do you know by chance? Or a
it's
different
a
kind of
white
oak, I
oak.
guess? A white oak? Yeah.
It's a white
So
oak.
is
Yeah.
there a lot of white oaks that area? Or was that kind of like the only one? Like,
So
is that maybe
overall,
why it was
yes,
key?
but on that finger ridge, that was the only big producing white oak
Okay.
over there, and it was dumping. Like I went in after, and and took a look at everything, and just because I was curious.
Right.
It's
For
really cool to
sure.
think, and that's I've hunted this place for 20 years, and we always have seen buck sign where that ridge, that finger ridge meets the tractor path. There's always, scrapes and rubs,
Right.
and it just never like clicked in my mind like, okay, maybe something's bedding down here right by the road. It's one
Right.
of those spots that you kind of would overlook.
Right.
So it all makes sense now.
Yeah.
Kind of pay attention to it going forward, I think. So.
He's out there feeding on the acorns from the white oak, and you're sitting up there in your saddle in the black
Mhm.
walnut. And what happens next? He's how far away?
60 yards probably. Yeah,
Okay.
and he from where he was at, there was no chance of him smelling me. So if he would have sat in his bed while I got up in my tree, got everything set up, he would have winded me eventually. He was dead downwind
Right.
of me. So me soft bumping him actually is what killed him, I think. Otherwise, he would have nailed my scent. He would have been way out of there.
Right. I get you.
Um, so anyway, the way he kind of J hooked in, he felt, you could tell he felt comfortable. Like he's like, I got the wind, and the wind was kind of across his face, where he was standing. He felt like he was safe. Um,
Right.
so I kind of lucked into a tree that put me in a just off wind for him.
Right.
Um, so he's picking his way in. I mean, once he got out of that oak, he made a beeline to the food plot. Um, and unfortunately, for those who hunt saddle know, like weak side, strong side. Well, he was coming on my weak side.
Okay.
And I had to
What
decide. Go ahead.
sorry, what does that mean? I've never hunted out of a saddle, so I have no idea.
So your natural shooting form is, for me, I'm a
Yep.
right-handed shooter. My natural strong side in a saddle is going to be on the left side of the tree because I can swing freely. Um,
Okay.
but when you're facing the tree, you only have so much room to work with in front of you in your saddle, and you got your bridge and all your ropes and everything. Well, I had
Right.
to decide whether I was going to bring my bow up over to the weak side, where my body's twisted.
I get you.
My ropes are going like this. It's just kind of awkward, and you have way
Yep.
less swing. Um, or was I going to take the chance and wait for him to walk all the way around my tree and come in front of me?
Right.
Which in hindsight, he probably would have. But my concern was he was going to hit the field edge and detour. So I decided to make the move while I could, while he was in the thicket, and got on the weak side. And I film everything. I'm dealing with a camera arm, and I'm on my tippy toes to get over my
Right.
camera arm. It was just an absolute disaster. Um, and when he came into the plot, he was at 20 yards,
Okay.
quartering to me. Yeah,
Up close
walking
and
in.
personal.
Oh, and well, and if you've hunted hill country, you hang your tree. There's trails that are eye level with you on the high
Yeah.
side of you. Well, that's this. He was eye level with me at
Oh,
20 yards. Just chest was massive, big neck. His neck is so
right.
thick, big belly on him. I mean, I was not keeping my cool very well. And that's usually not a problem for me, but he got under my
Yeah.
skin for sure,
But hey,
especially
I
once I
mean,
recognized him. When he stepped out and I recognized who he was, it's one of those moments where, the idea of him was just an idea. You'd never seen him
mhm,
in person really, or I caught just the one video of him just chasing a doe. Um, Barely got a good look at him as a 2 or 3 year old. But since then,
right.
we've really only just glassed him in fields and never seen him hunting. And it's just really humbling to finally see a creature like that in person. And now I got to make this happen. I can't screw this up.
Right.
There's definitely that aspect of it too. Like you hunt a deer long enough that, if you have a target deer and he's in front of you in bow range, like you got to make it happen,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
and
there
that
might
adds
not be a
pressure
second
and
chance, especially with
right.
Traveler who never shows up at the
Yeah,
same spot twice. So,
exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, whether I was ready for him or not, it was happening. So I just kind of made it happen. I ended up getting a pretty good look at him.
mhm,
He was quartering too slightly. But again, on the weak side of the tree, I could only swing left so far before I was gonna have to
right.
let down. And so he got to about 12 yards, and I knew I was going to get at least a lung liver, and so I took that shot, and I shoot expandables and felt pretty
Okay.
confident about it. Zipped right through him, and he acted like he was liver hit, so I was a
Okay.
little stressed about that. He
Right.
ran 40 yards, 50 yards, and then walked over to the edge of the ridge, and then I could see there wasn't a lot of blood coming out on his exit, um,
Okay.
but it was low on the exit side, low and back.
Right.
So I kind of accounted for probably some gut matter or something in there plugging it up.
Right.
Um,
And elite pass through, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it was straight through, no problem with that.
Right.
But again, I was just a little worried about it being liver. Um,
Right.
but I heard a distinct pop, the diaphragm pop. So I
Yeah. So
figured
you
I
might have
got
caught
at
the
least
backside of some lung too, maybe.
yeah, I figured I got lung. I was hoping. Um, but yeah, he was walking when I shot, which I don't wouldn't normally do. But being that he was only 12 yards or so,
Right.
felt pretty good about it. But yeah, his behavior struck me as a little bit like a liver hit, and I was a little worried about it. And he got to the edge of the ridge and then just took off running. I was like,
Okay.
I don't
It,
feel the best about that.
right.
you
Right.
know,
Yeah. You don't want them to go faster than what they were just doing, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So what did you
I didn't
do at
know.
that point then? Like, so you shot him, you felt it was back, like you saw him, you saw his reaction, but then you saw him run off afterwards. So you're like, maybe this isn't as good of a shot as I thought. Like, obviously, you hit him, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
how long did you wait in the stand for? Like, how long till you went and looked at the arrow? And then how did you ultimately make the decision to do whatever you did? Did you track him right away? Did you hold back and give him time, or what'd you do?
Well, I made some calls, called some friends. I was by myself, and about an hour and a half from home. So
Right.
in my mind, liver hit, you want to wait 5, 6 hours at least. But we're also competing with warm weather, so I was a little bit nervous about that too. But I also know
Right.
that I don't want to. It's not worth bumping him, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. If you
Big,
bump him, you're
strong
not
deer
getting
like
the meat
that.
either way.
Exactly. So,
So,
and I've learned in the past the hard way, and I'm sure many people have. But so I decided to, slowly pack up. I got down with with some daylight left, so I could go look at the arrow. Um, and it was just absolutely coated in dark red blood. So I figured it was predominantly liver hit.
okay.
I didn't see any lung blood or anything like that on it. So that really like just solidified my decision that I was going to be waiting a while.
Right. So, what
So
time of the day was it at this point?
so I shot him at like 6:30, and
Okay. PM.
probably got down around yeah 6:30
Okay.
p.m. And I probably got down around 7 p.m. finally after kind of getting things packed up and
Okay.
just making some calls. So yeah, I decided to get some help was
Right.
the main decision, and I was partly just to buy time because I was it's like I could just be right over the edge of that hill dead,
Right.
but he could be laying there alive and I could bump him. So I just like
Right.
back out.
So, how long did you how long did you ultimately wait for before you tracked him?
Six, it was 6 hours. Yep.
Okay. So,
Waited
12:30 at
six.
night, 1 a.m.
Yep. That's why I said I got some crazy friends. My wife came and my buddy Josh came down. And again, I told him, I was like, look, we're going to be getting there at midnight,
Right.
like we're an hour and a half from home. He's like, I'm charging up my lights right now. Like, all right. Um, it was pretty awesome to have some good friends to help with that. But yeah, we took up the track from the arrow, and I was pretty worried because there was just no blood.
Right.
His arrow, and it blew me away. I'm like, how can this arrow be? The arrow was just dripping blood, um, but there was no blood on the ground. We found a couple drops here and there.
Yeah, something plugged it up.
So yeah, definitely, and it was a high entry on the entry side, and so it was just going to take a while to fill up. But
Yep.
all these things factoring together make me really nervous, because I'm already doubting myself, as
Right.
many bow hunters do when they shoot a deer and they don't see it drop.
Right.
Um, so we just kind of slowly picked through the trail, and I had my wife working on finding next blood from where we had blood, and I actually used Onyx with their terrain feature to
Okay.
kind of figure out where I had last seen him because I was in the moment I didn't pin it. I should have dropped
Right.
the pin on it. But it's pitch black, so you have no reference really. So I
Yeah. And it
when I
happens so fast. It's like
yeah,
5 seconds, you
right.
know?
You're like kind of there was other things in my mind like is he gonna
Yeah.
drop? Is he bleeding? Like all that. Um, but yeah, I used Onyx to get on the right topo line of where I would have seen him go over the hill. And I walked straight to that line and I walked over the hill and he was 30 yards over the hill.
Oh,
So that
perfect.
last little run he took was a death run.
Okay.
And he kind of collapsed into a bed there. I don't think he crashed, but I think he collapsed into a bed kind of on a
Right.
run. So
So nice,
yeah, it
easy
was
track job.
oh, it was stressful though because we were like
Yeah.
hoping to find blood, so we
Yeah.
got sucked into looking for blood for about a half hour
And that's a
before I
hunter's
was
worst
like, look,
nightmare.
oh, it's terrible. And I'm like, oh, all the things are running through your head. Like, I need to get a dog here. Should I stop right now? Because I'm tracking up this potential track for the dog. Like,
Right.
there's a, my buddy had just had a drone try to find one of his deer, and there was too many leaves in the
Oh,
trees
right.
still, and so they couldn't really, I'm like, all these things are running through your head. All the worst
Right.
case scenario stuff. So
It's
it was a
kind of,
huge relief
yeah.
finding him. So
Yeah. That's actually kind of the bad thing with having so many options now today. If you think about 20 years ago, it was just, well, you're tracking.
track them.
Hope
Yeah,
hope you're
exactly.
good. Hope you're good.
Right.
Now it's like, do I not track because I could get a dog in, or it's like, or do I track anyways and then I just call a drone if I can't find them, or is it like I can't use the drone because now you have all the leaves here, so that means I have to go back to the dog. But if I have the dog, I don't want to track, and but I can't even see 40 yards, so maybe he is just a little bit. So do I just go a little bit? And there's so many questions, and it's
Right.
like it almost puts you in that state of what do I do, you know? So you can see how that
Paralysis
stress
by
just builds
analysis.
up
It,
and
yeah,
yeah,
it's
and you just
terrible.
exactly. So
Yeah.
ultimately you ended up following the track as best as you could with the blood you had and everything, and you
Yep.
saw him. And I'm assuming you could tell me I'm wrong, but you probably went running up to that buck after up to him.
Oh, yes. Like the feeling of and the funny thing was I had actually walked below him. So you're
Okay.
looking up, I had a good little spotlight and I'm shining and you can just see I could see his rump and his belly up above me about 15
Right.
yards. And it's just like, even then you're like, is that a deer bedded? You're
Right.
like not believing what you're seeing. But I could see
Right.
his rack sticking up and everything, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So we were
Nice.
obviously super excited and celebrating. But the thing that blew me away was just the sheer size of his body. I mean, he was wide and thick, just a
Okay.
really long body deer too.
Right.
Uh, massive, just a massive deer. He ended up weighing around 240 pounds,
Jeez,
which
that's a
is
big deer.
big deer. Yeah, just a really
Yeah.
just massive deer. Just super impressive in all aspects. I mean, it was so
Right.
cool. And his rack was actually bigger than I expected too, just because his body made him look maybe a little bit
Right.
smaller.
Right.
So yeah, it was really cool. I actually have it right here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's see it. Oh yeah, he's a
So this,
stud.
yeah, he's beautiful. But you can see this is the distinct side it's flatter. It doesn't
Yeah.
wrap out real nice like this side does.
Yeah, you can
So
see
yeah,
that. And then like the
he's
tines, the
always
way they come up is very
and this
distinct.
this kicks out over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's at right around 150, which I've hunted him all these years. I've never hunted him for inches because he's always just been,
Right.
not the best genetic deer. But
Right.
I love history. That's what I love. I love getting to know deer and targeting them.
Right.
I could probably go out and just hunt funnels and shoot
Yeah.
decent
Shoot
deer
whatever,
that I've
but
never seen before, but something about when you have history with a deer and you get to know them, and it's like the ultimate chase. Like you know, cat and mouse game. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, he's
because you're going from chasing any deer to just one deer,
yeah,
and that's just like the amount of work. I feel like the work and energy and persistence it takes is just
yeah,
insane.
yeah.
But
Now
yeah,
there
you
were
can hold
definitely other. I had other targets for sure. He was just always kind of on my list though, because we went way back. So
yeah. Yeah, you can hold him up there against some more. I mean, hell yeah. I mean, he is such a nice. I just love how his antlers, you get like the typical like just 5x5s, this typical tens.
yeah,
Like
yep,
he's got character developed into it, but it's still fairly typical.
yep. He's
But
got a
man,
couple
oh, he's
character
got
points
kickers
there.
there.
About 7-inch brows, which I thought was really cool.
Right. So
And
he's a
that's what
white.
I when I saw him. I counted if you count the little ones, 14.
Okay, I was
Um,
gonna say yeah, six
when I
by
saw him
six on
step
them.
out and I saw these brows, I was like, oh, that's Traveler. You could just
Yeah.
they're very distinct brows. But
Oh, he's
yes,
a spectacular deer, dude.
he was
Congrats again,
just
man. He is
thank
super
you,
nice.
thank you. Yeah, he means a lot to me. So I know he doesn't know that, but uh,
Is he going
try
on your
to.
wall then?
Oh
Shoulder
yeah,
mount?
yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah, yeah. He'll be up there. He's my favorite man. I'll tell you what.
Hell
I mean,
yeah.
it's yeah. Since I've been really digging in and hunting, being mobile and trying to learn how to shoot older deer, that he's been kind of the one. I've always
Right.
been chasing him.
Right.
So it means a lot to be able to seal a deal on it. And I never would have imagined doing it in 1 hour into my bow season, but
Right.
it
So,
was his time.
right. I mean, I guess when you're in the right spot at the right time and everything just works out right for a reason, it's like
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes you just got to have that little bit of luck involved. I think no
mhm,
matter what it is, deer, like you just got to have a little bit of luck that day. And if
yep,
you get it, as long as you make that shot, it happens,
yep,
So,
yeah.
what's one before we wrap this up completely? What's one big like probably the biggest thing you learned from chasing Traveler all these years?
Don't stop. um, I think so. I've always been really calculated, trying
Yeah,
to get in front of him, and obviously every time it didn't work until the last time.
right.
And I made when I made the decision to hang the way I did, I could have probably hung in an easier tree to get into, on an easier side of the food plot, maybe to shoot a doe from. But in the back of your mind, you're always like, hey, s- give it your best setup. Even if you're going in just to shoot a doe and you're not expecting to see anything,
Right.
going in and setting up as if a mature deer might come through here, how would you do it every time?
Hmm.
Obviously can pay off. In this case, had I taken a lesser setup, easier tree, um, I wouldn't have had probably as easy of a shot, or I would have had no shot at them. And that
Right.
I I've always tried to put myself in the best position, whether I expect to see him or not. So I guess the main takeaway from hunting deer like this is just go in as if he's there. You know,
Yeah.
how would you set up? And over the years, in doing that, even going in just to shoot does or going in to hunt for whatever reason, you kind of learn. Um, it's practice. I mean, every time I've tried to hunt this deer or other mature deer has been practice for today or for the third when I killed him.
Right.
And I ended up just from instinct and luck, but also some instinct, being in the right tree to kill him. Just from
Right.
trying to practice my thermals and
Yeah, being
playing the
disciplined
wind
every
and
day.
understanding you know where I needed to be. And
Right.
this season I only had to do it once and it worked out, but um, there was a lot of other sits in previous years that I failed,
Right.
failed to be in the right tree, so
Well,
that I learned from.
all the time, like over the summer, over the spring, the scouting, the stands, the plot work, the years past, like that all accumulates into that first hour of the season too. you know.
Yep,
So like
it
you
does.
put your work in, you put your time in, and you got rewarded for it, you
Yep.
know.
And
And that's like you can't do it without the time and the effort, you know.
mm,
So like that's
and
just
I'll
I mean, some people get lucky, but I don't know about you. I don't get lucky. I've never just sat
I
there and be like, "Oh my God, this giant buck just walked by."
right. There's a lot that goes into it for sure. And
Right.
that's kind of my plug for saddle hunting. You know, that there's never been a human in that tree. And you know,
Right.
they always say your first sit is your best sit.
Yep.
And so I was able to kind of cheat him a little bit, and you know, he never knew I was in the world. So
Right.
it was pretty awesome. Something I'll definitely remember forever and you know, take with me. Yeah.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Well, congrats again, man. I really appreciate
Hey,
it. We'll keep chatting and congrats again on Traveler. He's a giant. I don't care what anyone says. He's a giant buck. That's bigger than anything I've ever shot. So, I mean, before we go, plug your YouTube channel, your socials. I'll put it all in there too, so everybody can just click the links right to it.
awesome. Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
My buddy and I started we've been filming for years. We started Five Tool Hunter. We're both baseball backgrounds, so that was the reference. But
Okay.
we've got some cool hunts on there. It's a new channel. We started last year. We've got some cool hunts on there. My Story of Traveler is still in production, but it'll be on there as well, probably in the next week or so. And
Okay.
you know, we got a lot more coming, so we're excited to share more cool hunts. And we're all
Yep.
about storytelling. So
Awesome,
that's what
man.
it's all about. No sponsors, no nothing. I just want to tell stories
Right.
and film and have those for myself and to share. So, yep.
Awesome, man.
So,
Well, I hope it
thank
goes
you for
far
your
for
time,
you.
man.
Yeah, I hope it goes far for you, man. You sound like a great storyteller, and I appreciate having you on. This has been a blast, and we'll keep in touch.
Yeah. Good
So
luck with the new pod, man.
awesome.
Excited
Yeah,
for
man,
you.
I appreciate it. This is episode number one. You're the first
Yeah,
guest, so
I'm honored. Thank you.
so all right, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Nick.
Sean. All right, take care.